I've spent enough years walking onto construction sites that I've learned something interesting. A job site will talk to you. You don't even have to ask questions. Just look around. Are the materials organized? Are the walkways clear? Are the tools taken care of? Are people communicating? Does everyone seem to know what they're doing and why they're doing it? Or is everything scattered? Trash everywhere. Nobody knows the plan. Everybody waiting on somebody else. People blaming one another when something goes wrong. Give me a few minutes walking around a project and I'll probably know quite a bit about the people running it, because the job site is a mirror. It reflects the standards of the people who built it. Now, I'm not talking about appearances. I've worked on some ugly job sites. Demolition certainly isn't always pretty. Mud is mud, dust is dust, work is work. I'm talking about something deeper. Order within the disorder. A well-run demolition project may look chaotic to an outsider, but look closer. There's a plan. Equipment has travel paths. Exclusion zones have purpose. Materials have destinations. Workers understand their assignment. People communicate. Everybody knows where the hazards are. That's not neatness for the sake of neatness. That's discipline made visible. And discipline always leaves evidence. The same thing happens with craftsmanship. Look at a person's workbench. Look at their truck. Look at their tools. Look at the work they leave behind. Eventually you'll begin seeing the habits of the person. And here's where this gets uncomfortable. The mirror doesn't always show us what we want to see. Sometimes the problem isn't the project. Sometimes it's us. That's a difficult realization. It's easier to blame the schedule, the customer, the superintendent, the weather, the crew, the company. And sometimes those things really are the problem. But a builder has to be willing to ask, what part of this belongs to me? That's where growth begins. Throughout Built From Within, we've talked about craftsmanship, repetition, precision, innovation, and reputation. But none of those things exist only in our thoughts. Eventually, they become visible. What you repeatedly think becomes what you repeatedly do. What you repeatedly do becomes habit. Habit becomes character, and character eventually leaves fingerprints on everything you touch. That's why the outside often reveals something about the inside. Thought becomes structure. Leaders work the same way. I've walked onto projects where people were afraid to speak. Nobody wanted to bring up a problem. Nobody wanted to admit a mistake. Everyone was protecting themselves. And I've walked onto others where a laborer could approach a superintendent and say, "Hey, I think we've got a better way," and the superintendent would listen. Think about what those two job sites reveal. Same industry, same tools, maybe the same company, completely different cultures. Why? Because leadership eventually becomes environment. What leaders tolerate spreads. What leaders encourage spreads. What leaders demonstrate spreads. The crew becomes a reflection of the standards leadership consistently lives. Not that the standards are written on the wall, the standards lived on the ground. But this isn't only about construction. Your home can become a mirror. Your business can become a mirror. Your relationship can become a mirror. Your finances, your health habits, your reputation, even the way you spend your time. None of them tells the whole story of who you are. Life is too complicated for that. But patterns tell us something, and a wise person occasionally has the courage to look around and ask, what is my life reflecting back to me? Maybe you'll like what you see. Good. Keep building. Maybe you won't. Good. Now you know there's work to be done. A mirror isn't an insult, it's information. And that's one of the beautiful things about being human. We can change what we see. We can recognize the job, repair the mistake, learn the skill, have the conversation, clean up the mess, raise the standard. We can decide, starting today, this is going to be different. Then we begin, one decision, one habit, one action at a time. That's how job sites changes. That's how a person changes. And eventually, the reflection changes too. So tomorrow morning, when you arrive at work, take a minute before everything gets moving. Look around. Really look. What does that job site say about the people building it? And then ask the harder question. What does my part of it say about me? Does it show pride, preparation, respect, competence? Does it show that somebody cared? Because whether we realize it or not, we're leaving pieces of ourselves in everything we build. And someday, someone else will walk through what we left behind. Make sure the reflection is something you're proud to see, because the job site is a mirror, and so, in many ways, is the life we're building. I'm Bubba, and this is nothing new under the sun. All right, boys and girls, that's my thoughts on the subject. I appreciate you stopping by, and I appreciate you watching. Make sure that you give me that thumbs up down below to encourage me to make more videos this type. Also, subscribe to the channel where you'll find additional videos of this nature, and you'll be notified of new releases. Make sure you share this video with like-minded people and comment on the content of this video. And until we see each other again, as always, have a grateful day, and we'll see you next time.